post Senior Bowl, kind of late January all the way up through February. I was up in New Jersey training at a Test Football Academy up there. It's about 30 minutes south of Newark. Training with Kevin Dunn, training with Gare Gudmundsson, and we got a world-class sprinter that trained us in the 40, Otto Bolden. He came up there and he was training us for a good period of days. Following the combine, I came back home. I came back here to LSU, started throwing. Basically got back into what most people consider to be football shape. From there we got our timing down, got Flynn out here, and got everything handled to the point where we could handle our business today. And I think we did a pretty good job of that.
How beneficial has this pre-draft process been for you?
For me, exponentially beneficial. To the point where guys didn't quite know my skill set, and that's not anyone's fault at any given point. What I did here at LSU helped us win a ton of games, and it was what I needed to do for us to be successful, and it was what I was called on to do for us to win games. So at the end of the day, to be able to get out to the Senior Bowl and kind of flash a little bit of receiving, raise questions and then answer those questions at the combine, speed, vert, broad, just athletic ability overall, just kind of put my name out there. I was trying to show what I had and not really prove anything to anyone, just go out and have the best days that I could, and I think I did a pretty good job of that.
What's your biggest selling point? What's your biggest selling point? Your best attribute?
I think my best attributes are kind of off the field, in a sense. I believe a lot of football is kind of based mainly on what you could handle mentally. Things like grit, toughness, responsibility, just the ability to fight no matter what. And then when we get on the field, I'm incredibly aggressive. I'm a bruiser. I'm a finisher. And I got a little bit of speed to me too that you don't really expect. At the end of the day, I'd say my attention to detail and my preparation is kind of what gets me through a week. That's always what I've hung my hat on my ability to out prepare my opponent. If you try to win the game when you get to the field, you're going to wind up losing. The game's won before you even smell the turf.
I know you probably, obviously through training, knew what you were going to do at the combine, but when the season ended and you were looking towards training, did you know, look, I'm going to be able to test well?
I knew I was going to do the absolute most for me to be able to try and test through the roof, to try and just put my name up there with the guys that you guys love to talk about. And at the end of the day, I worked as hard as I could for as long as I could to try and just get my numbers lower, and just get stronger and just better at football at the end of the day. And I did a pretty good job of that, and I think that kind of speaks for the numbers that I put up at the end of the day. I didn't go in expecting to run a 4.6, but through training, through speed work, through understanding how to use my body to my advantage, that's what I was able to do. I didn't expect to jump to 36.5-inch vert, but through my training and understanding of how to use my body and show off my explosiveness, we were able to do a great job.
I guess it's up to you. Your agent handles this mostly, but do you get a sense from the Senior Bowl through the combine to now, kind of where your stock was and where it is now?
It's definitely rose, but at the end of the day, where people place my stock on public sites is irrelevant. At the end of the day, you got a guy with 1,000 Twitter followers that's posting his top 10 for tight ends and it's no disrespect, but the media doesn't have any picks in this year's upcoming draft. So when it comes down to it, it's going to be who falls down through the board and who's willing to take a tight end at what spot. I definitely think I've raised my draft stock, and I'm very happy, and I'm blessed, and I just want to thank LSU and the guys up at Test and my agents, my family. I want to thank God for everything that I've been able to do through this process. It's been awesome.
We've got to be able to show some of your receiving abilities and athleticism. What kind of feedback have you gotten from teams about that?
Didn't expect me to do that. That was not expected because I haven't shown any of that on my game tape, which is apparent. But it's fun to kind of get out there, raise questions, and not just prove people wrong, but just kind of take people back. You know, just kind of be a pleasant surprise at the end of the day. It's been a good process for me.
With the draft coming up in a few weeks, do you have any last preparations?
I mean, just guys during this time from pro day moving on to the draft, I feel like guys have a tendency to fall out of shape, you know, fall out of true football shape, because I know that the draft is not very far off from rookie minicamp. And so at the end of the day, I'm going to try to be in perfect football shape. And I mean, just keep football fresh in your mind. You know, I mean, people think this is the end of the road, this is the end of the process. I mean, I hate to say it, but it's just a really long start to where you want to be. And I could promise that I'm not going to start my career slouching. I mean, I'm going to be in tip-top shape, and I know my compadres out there are going to do the same.
Were you a little insulted, Foster, that some people didn't think you could catch or didn't know that you had a history as a receiver?
Well, at the end of the day, no, because A, I haven't really shown that on really any game tape, as I was saying before, and B, that's just another guy's opinion, you know. And I'm sure that there's guys out there, you know, professional scouts, guys that it's their job to look it up, that they didn't know it either, and that's no one's fault. At the end of the day, just winning games was our prerogative here, and that's what we were able to do, and we did it a lot. So, I mean, I wouldn't change my time, my position, my role here for anything, from anyone. Stats are stats, but at the end of the day, and I know I keep saying it, wins are wins, and I'll take a win over 200 yards and 3 touchdowns any day.
Did you see or feel, or maybe your agent handled it, but did you see the interest from the teams increase after the Combine and after the Senior Bowl?
A little bit, but there's a lot of interest that you get when you're there, specifically. I mean, you do informals with every team. I mean, they have to. It's a requirement for all their teams. I didn't get too many formal. I actually got like no formal interviews, which either means one of two things. I'm either the worst player here, entirely a possibility, or I just don't have any red flags. So we're really hoping it's the latter option. But yeah, I've been enjoying my process. I got a meeting with a team. What time is it, by the way? 11:50. I got a meeting with a team at 12. I'm going to meet them at the door, and we're going to walk over. But yeah, I've seen a little bit of interest. Everyone sees interest, but yeah, I'm happy with what I've been getting.
And then when you look back on your career, going back from high school and the way the recruiting process shook out for you, ended up at LSU. Just did you ever think you would get to this point?
No, I didn't. But like the same thing I was saying when he asked me about training, I just knew I was going to work as hard as I could to try and make the most out of myself that I could. And through this process, I've learned a lot about myself, and I've done a pretty good job. I'm happy with the results so far, but I'm not satisfied. We got to continue going.
How much do you think it boosts? I mean, you've been talking about catch passes, but how much does it boost your resume with these teams to have blocked in the SEC for 4 years?
It's good. I mean, the tape's the tape, and that's good. A lot of guys like to get caught up in this process. So like a guy who had like a really bad combine or like wasn't great at like the Senior Bowl or the Shrine Game or something like that. At the end of the day, tape's the tape. I mean, you go back and depending on the team, it's like 70, 80, 90% of it's going to be what you did during the season. So you got to be able to fill in the last 30, 20, 10% with how much you could do like in the postseason, how much you could do in the spring, what you could do right now. And I've tried to check off every box that I could, and we've done a pretty good job of it.
One more for Foster before he's got to run.
Let's go with a fun one. This has been kind of morbid, guys.
You got a hype video.
I did get a hype video. Isn't that exciting, huh? Never had a hype video. It's good stuff. Never thought I really garnered enough clout. Out there? Boy, they kind of, it's basically, so you have like 20 minutes. You have 20 minutes and they're not trying to tire you out, but you know that you want to get as many reps as you can and try to put as much on tape as you can. So you're just pushing yourself. Like when you're running routes out there and you're practicing, you're never really going that hard. You're never going as hard as you go on pro day. It was fun though. I mean, it was fun to get out there and catch the ball. You know, I had to basically recruit Flynn to come throw for us because he didn't know if his arm was going to hold up. But I mean, he's awesome, man. He's one of the best. To have him and to have Rohan and to have guys that are able to come back and have such a great ball and such great timing. And it doesn't take really any practice for these guys because, I mean, they just know how to do it. They've been doing it so well for so long. I'm really blessed that Flynn could come out and do such a great job for us. It was really, really good.